The Bay Area has seen 5 officers lost in less than a year. The number of officers gunned down in the line of duty nationwide increased by 24% last year, according to the Brady Center, and this year is on track to be even higher. But the Action News I-Team has discovered their deaths are tied to a big problem: guns in the hands of convicted felons. Tonight, investigator Michael George reveals the alarming trend and what some say needs to happen now to keep you and your family safe.
We've seen this sight too often lately. Men and women in uniform standing at attention. A roll call.
All units be advised. Officer Jeffrey Allen Cocab, badge 302.
For an officer who won't ever respond. And another family's heartbreak.
My world crashed around me, and it was hard to pick up the pieces.
Sandy Cocab lost her son, Tampa police officer Jeff Cocab, just last year. For Sandy and the other families who have suffered the same loss, they hoped their tragedy would be the last.
S-23 Sergeant Thomas Batinger and K2 Officer Jeffrey Yaslowitz are 10-7. May God rest their souls.
Losing them was reliving the incident all over again of finding out when my father was killed in the line of duty.
You just start to think, it's not going to end. It felt like this is just going to continue.
While violent crime is down nationwide, many officers report they're seeing more suspects with guns. 16-year-old Nicholas Lindsay says he bought a gun off the streets for $140 before he allegedly shot and killed Officer David Crawford. St. Petersburg Police Chief Chuck Harmon believes officers are facing more danger.
It's hard for us to explain other than the people's attitude and choice to make those and have those confrontations with law enforcement.
In the last 5 years alone, 9 Tampa Bay officers have been shot and killed in the line of duty. And 6 of those officers were killed by convicted felons who should never have had a gun in the first place. When officers Jeff Yaslowitz and Tom Batinger were searching for convicted felon Hydra Lacey in January, he was waiting for them in the attic with a gun legally purchased by his wife.
I would think that if Hydra didn't have that gun, he'd be hiding in the attic and it wouldn't have happened. Jeff would have been able to cuff him and bring him down.
The I-Team has discovered that the city of St. Petersburg had a huge spike just last year in the number of convicted felons arrested in possession of firearms, up 65% from the previous year.
But I still think the biggest problem is folks getting their hands on guns that are showing up being stolen.
And our research shows in the past 2 years, more than 1,700 convicted felons were arrested throughout the Bay Area, charged with illegally possessing a gun. It's a problem that's making the already dangerous job of patrolling the streets even more dangerous, and it affects everyone. Law enforcement leaders say it's time for lawmakers to increase the penalties for felons with weapons.
Number one, it would hold these individuals accountable. They're engaging in this very violent criminal activity. And at the same time, I think it would send a message.
Right now, the penalty is a minimum 3-year sentence. But local sheriffs and police chiefs hope to convince lawmakers to make the jail time even longer.
If there is anything good that can come out of these tragedies, it ought to be a real serious look at how do we protect our law enforcement officers across the state.
The families of Ron Harrison, Jeff Yaslowitz, and Jeff Cocab know tougher penalties won't prevent every officer death. But the hope is they can make our communities safer and maybe save another family from going through their heartbreak.
It just seems it's out of control. So whatever we can do, the general public, whatever we can do, we've got to stand behind our law enforcement officers. We have to stop it. We have to stop it.
Sandy Cocab tells me if a bill is proposed, she'll be the first in line to fight for it in Tallahassee. Sheriffs G and Coates say they want the Florida Sheriff's Association to take up the cause next year. Michael George, ABC Action News.